Introducing the all-new Western Enforcer V-Plow. Engineered with all the features, efficiency, and performance of full-size Western V-Plows, built specifically for your half-ton truck. For more information, visit westernplows.com.
Mike Bott from Frost Solutions, one of the owners of the company. What we do is provide a mini weather station to give you a tailored forecast to those particular locations so you know where and when and what to do in those parts of town. You know there's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different ways that people can experience tremendous value having a technology like this.
Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey with your host, Dave Wescott. The Entrepreneurial Journey is a weekly podcast that streams live every Tuesday at 9:15 a.m. Pacific on Dave's YouTube channel and LinkedIn profile. Now here's Dave with this week's episode.
Good morning and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey. I'm your host, Dave Wescott. I've got with me co-host and basketball star Todd Chapman, and I've got DeWeese, artificial intelligence thought leader, investor, fractional chief AI at the DeWeese Group. With a background in theoretical physics, pure and applied mathematics, AI, software development, and electrical engineering, Ab's life has been shaped by a relentless drive to question the state of gray area complexities around him. A lifelong learner who continually explores all possible paths towards understanding the workings of the world, he retired from his first business, Good Automation, at 37. Since then, he's become a founder, shareholder, and board member of 8+ businesses in AI and emerging technology. Today, he serves as the co-founder and chief AI officer for numerous organizations. He is the co-founder of a private advisory practice designed for medium-sized and Fortune 500 companies who want to generate major returns leveraging AI, as well as an early-stage equity investor and corporate board director in AI-powered startups, an active member of the Entrepreneurs Organization, and a physics PhD candidate. I crushed that. I'm just gonna say that was an awesome intro, and I want to say I did that pretty much flawlessly. I grade my entire show on how I nail the intro. Right, that's the important thing.
Did it. Well, let me tell you who crushed. Marina crushed the intro. So hats off to her.
Did she? She wrote this for you?
Her whole team did. She's phenomenal. If you guys don't know who Marina is, a brand of a leader, you should look her up. She makes you look like she takes somebody ugly like me and makes me look way better than I really do.
You know, Marina is awesome. Let's see. I met her in EO San Diego, like I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. I want to say pre-pandemic.
Oh wow!
I've known her pre-pandemic. Like we gauge everything around we've got the pandemic. Yeah. We've got the Jordan era of basketball championships. We've got the economic downfall of 2008. That's how I basically managed my life. And so, so I met her back then a long time ago. And she was on the show, a couple of months back?
Yeah, I think might have been last month even. Yeah.
And she rolls really good with it, too, because like she had a glitch in the middle of the show where her computer cut out and disconnected her. And then we were just like talking and she was gone, and that was a live show. And then she was right back up and she was like, hey, so my computer crashed and here I am. So, so she's awesome. And I'm a client of hers through Brand of a Leader.
Nice.
So, a lot of deep respect. I'm going to send her a text after this and I'm going to say, so that was a really long intro you wrote for the podcast show. Try to shorten that up about 50%. I'm just teasing. I loved it. So you're an EO member. What chapter are you in?
It's right now I currently identify with the U.S. Central Bridge chapter. So my birth chapter is EO Fort Worth. I live in Grapevine, Texas, right between Fort Worth and Dallas. So I joined Fort Worth and I joined the Bridge chapter, the U.S. Central Bridge chapter last year. And what about you?
Okay.
Are you in the Denver chapter? Where you at?
I'm in the Seattle chapter.
In the Seattle chapter. Okay.
I'm a Seattleite. I'm in the left coast for all of our left.
You threw out. I heard Colorado, and then you threw out San Diego, so I got a little confused.
Yeah, we did our chapter. We did our chapter forum retreat thing in San Diego one year, and she was a guest speaker.
Oh, right on.
And I'm from Colorado when you and I were talking, obviously pre-show. So yeah, that's we're based just north of Seattle though.
Okay, right on. Yeah, so I've been in EO since pre-pandemic, right? Pre-COVID. Joined in 2019 and had like a year and then like the non-year, right? The digital year. But honestly, my favorite thing about it was I joined the Slack channel, and then which actually ultimately kind of became the bridge chapters. And then I got to know a lot of people outside of my geography and got to really connect with EOers outside of DFW, and found personally just a lot of enjoyment in that, like just to kind of connect with EOers out of town. Like I get a ton of value out of that, going outside, meeting other people.
Yeah, that's cool. You know what? I'm going to check out the EO Slack channel. I don't know that I've ever checked that out. So I'm gonna actually check that out. That's a good little tip. And for any EOer out there listening to the show, check out the Slack channel, because just like Ab, you can meet tons of people outside of your geography. So Grapevine. Go ahead.
Can I drop one more shameless plug?
Absolutely.
I founded and lead EO Dads, which is a WhatsApp group of almost 800 men globally. And so if you're in EO and you have kids and you want to join it, like look me up and shoot me a WhatsApp message, and I'll add you to the group.
EO Dads. That sounds awesome, man. That sounds. I might hook up with that right after the show. So
yeah, dude, I'll send you the invite.
That's awesome, man. EO Dads. That's very cool. And what you're just, the thing is that I've noticed in my EO forum, and just to maintain forum confidentiality, I'm not breaking any rules here, but it's all men. There's no women in my forum, and we're a quantum forum, so we meet every other month. And but I'm gonna tell you what, like, there's a lot of dad conversation, like, hey, we're taking the kids to the park, hey, we're taking the kids to the the gym on Saturday, hey, we're going to the Bellevue Club, or whatever it is, but there's some dad activity where it's like dad gets stuck with the kids are little, they want to get together and do a dad thing, so
yeah.
So it actually sounds kind of cool. Even though I'm sure yours is totally different from what I'm explaining, it's just that's what I've witnessed in some of the EO with dads who are taking care of their little toddlers.
Yeah, right on. You should come join the party. It's a super deep, really fun group. I'm not going to share obviously the things that are shared in there, but the range of vulnerability and like questions like that, like, does anybody have experience with this? Like, oh man, you hear some pretty deep, pretty heavy stuff, and then also some pretty like uplifting and positive stuff. It's just great. It's a great place to be. It's like any kind of EO group, right? You could have EO about sports cars, and you're going to get that. You're going to get that level of depth.
Yeah, I love EO. That's one of the great things about EO. I don't know. I think I'm like 6 or 7 years into EO, which is, we are so off topic of artificial intelligence, but you know what? It's kind of cool. And since you're in Fort Worth, I got to ask 2 questions that are still off topic. One, you mentioned you're right down in Grapevine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when you go into Grapevine, there's a whole tourist section down there, right? Like, it's very touristy, and there's like a whole strip of just like, one by one little shops that sell touristy type things with little slangs on them. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Grapevine Main Street.
Grapevine Main Street. At the end of Grapevine Main Street, on the left-hand side, is a little steakhouse and bar. Do you know? I don't know if you know it or not. Willie Nelson is, or was at the time, a part owner of that little establishment down there. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but I'll tell you what, they have the best chili like in the world. The only other place that has chili as good as it is the Stockyards, in my opinion. Actually, sorry, not the Stockyards in Fort Worth. The Stockyards in Arizona.
Oh.
It's a restaurant, but so the chili there, man, is out of this world. So I'm smashing in through Dallas. I love chili. I'm like, listen, before I get on this airplane, I got to get a bowl of this chili. I smash to the restaurant. I order a bowl of chili to go. I'm literally sitting in the rental car, turning my car in, about to catch a plane, and I'm just pounding a bowl of chili, right? I'm crushing a bowl of chili. Yeah. And I don't know. Is that place still there? Does that ring a bell? Is anything?
Yeah, I've never been there, but I've walked by it probably 100 times. I know the spot. There's a little cigar bar at the end of the main street, on the, what is that, on the west side, I think, if I'm getting my directions right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the greatest little place. And then second is, I love the stockyards in Fort Worth. That's I love the rodeo. I'm a huge rodeo fan. My goal is to hit the top 10 rodeos 10 years in a row. I think I got 3 or 4 checked off the list. I love going to the stockyards rodeo with my kids. That's all I got about Texas.
I'm gonna hit you with like a triple whammy. Okay. So come to Grapevine. There's a new hotel right on the railway in Grapevine, and they've got this special train that runs from Grapevine to the stockyards.
Yep.
And back. And so you can get both of them. You can get chili and the stockyards in the same day.
Chili, stockyards, train.
And you don't even have to rent a car. And then come back over the winter. They do this Polar Express where the whole Main Street, they like overhaul the train tracks, and they've got this old train, and the kids all get in their PJs, they get on the Polar Express, they go to the North Pole, make this huge deal out of it. You know, Santa comes on the train. Like it's just this phenomenal experience for kids. And then you can go to the ice sculptures in the Gaylord, where they have this big ice sculpture exhibit. So I'm just sitting here pitching. I'm probably supposed to be selling like AI services or something on this pod, but I'm just selling Grapevine and EO and the things I love and care about.
Polar Express.
I mean, I'm not on the Slack channel for EO dads. I don't qualify, but like I just feel like I got some gems, money. So thank you for that. The vacation time in Fort Worth and DFW, I'm ready to roll, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, so what we're really here talking about, AI, artificial intelligence. This is this topic, I mean, one, it's kind of a buzzword now, right? Like, it's just like AI, I got to get my AI on. I mean, I must get pitched from 25 to 30 people every day on AI. And, like, how real is this? I mean, like, we're looking at Air AI, and we're looking at different AI technologies to help us make phone calls and help us sell deals and help us write emails. There's a guy in my office, and I think he writes every email through Chat GPT. And I literally had to send him an email yesterday and say, dude, stop using Chat GPT to write your emails, because you are coming off like an person
like
who starts with an
robot.
A and ends with a hole. But at the end of the day, they're just kind of rude, And so I'm like thinking to myself, okay, AI is great, but now when you got, team members writing all their emails through AI, that's a little crazy. So where are you at with AI? What's going on? What are you seeing? How can it help business owners? I guess, let's get your perspective.
Man, yeah, I'm head over heels in love with it. I think it's going to change. Like, it is changing the world, and it's gonna. I mean, this is a change unlike any that we've ever lived through. Like, people liken it to like the invention of the cell phone or the internet, but to me, it's more like electricity, right? Or the steam engine. I mean, it's just we've been, as a civilization, we've been organizing and building and compiling data, and we're getting better and better and better at compiling data. And in the last couple of decades, we've generated these mountains of data. And if you think about it, that was really necessary to have all those data to be able to train these models to do new and fancy and amazing things. And so the capability that's about to be available for the world is a game changer. I'll give you a handful of examples. So if you go to buy something online, right, you're going to go, it's almost as bad as going to the doctor's office where you have to write your name in the same form, like five different places. You go online, you're like, click, you grab your mouse, click, type, click, type, click, type, click, type. You got to fill in like 18 different fields, just to like sign up for something or buy something. Imagine the following instead, computer, right? You just talk to the computer, voice to text. and you show up to this web form that you would in the past need to fill out, and the computer just says, I need your name, birthday, whatever. It asks you some questions. You just tell it the answers. And these 18 questions that it's asking you, it's going to go from voice to text. It's going to parse that text. It's going to get most of that information. It'll fill out most of the form. And then because you're using a large language model in the background, it's going to notice that, what else it needs. And it's going to ask you for it, probably over the speaker. And I'm going to answer it over the microphone. And so the user interface for most software applications is going to have this dramatic change in the next decade. And so I believe that every piece of software on earth is going to be not rewritten, but it's going to have a massive facelift and overhaul to sort of pick up this new capability. That's just one tiny little change. So people ask me, there's two EO AI WhatsApp groups with like 1,000 people each, and I'm pretty active in those. And you'll hear the same these themes come up all the time. Well, I probably shouldn't have my son major in software engineering, or I'd hate to be a developer. It's really scary to be a software engineer right now because AI is going to write all the code. Like, absolutely not. The demand for software engineering is about to go through the roof because the need for software developers and engineers to integrate AI capabilities into existing applications that are just going to they're going to have to happen across the entire world is going to drive so much demand for software engineering that it's one of the best things you could possibly study and major in. And AI is not going to take your job. Someone with AI is going to take your job, right? Yeah. So it's a tool. It's an enabler. So those are some of the things I feel about it. I mean, I could just go on and on, but let me stop and let you guys get a word in.
No. That's
great.
That's cool. And I don't want to cheat my co-host here, the basketball legend Todd Chapman, of his questions either. But so you are a board member for 8+ businesses in AI. So definitely something that you're super passionate about. When you look at 8 different businesses in AI, I mean, AI seems like pretty, like when I listen to the word AI, I think, I don't see the difference in the businesses. But like if you were to say, hey, what's with landscaping? Well, you might have an irrigation company, you might have a lawn mowing company, you might have a paver company. Like there's a lot of different facets to it. So in those 8+ companies that you are a part of today, what is the differences between them?
So, I mean, they're vastly different, right? Like one of them is a company that's working on offshore energy storage. One of them is a company that's working on AI and medical applications. Another one is a company that's working on AI and medical applications, and they're two completely different opportunities. For example, I'll take the 2 medical ones just to highlight the difference. One of them is focused on medical research, like actual clinical trials. And another one is completely different. It's focused on, clinical care and accelerating. I think of it as like doctor velocity, right? My partner's an ER physician, and walks. I had the privilege of shadowing him on a shift and watching him move from room to room, and then watch the cognitive load that he had to carry from room to room and sit down and unload his brain into the computer. And the amount of typing and time wasted in front of a computer terminal will just blow your mind and disappoint you. So to accelerate that is very different from, that's more like a language model, like taking language model technology. When I say a large language model, you guys know what I'm talking about, or do your viewers for the most part?
Why don't you explain it to us? That way, if anybody doesn't know, they're on the same page.
Yeah, fair enough. So the large language model just means it's a bigger model, meaning an AI system is a whole bunch of matrices. It's like from algebra 2 in high school, you learned how to multiply a vector times a matrix or multiply 2 matrices together. An AI system is really just a stack up of matrices that you multiply together. There's a lot more that goes into it, but you can think of it as the size of the model is is how big these matrices are and how many of them there are. A large language model is going to be much, much bigger than like a language model. So LLM means large language model, and then language means it's built specifically to focus on like a language task. So these types of AI systems are good at, they're designed for what's called sequence translation. And so they'll take a sequence and either continue the sequence or translate the sequence. It just so happens that, human speech kind of follows similar patterns. So they're good at taking in a corpus of just a small amount of text, like a prompt, and then completing the prompt, and then running back through and completing that until it feels like it's got to the end, and it sort of stops talking, gives you the answer back. This is called a large language model. So you can use these things to integrate a lot of the text processing, kind of what used to take a human to have to interpret, what does this paragraph mean? You can run that through a computer now. That's a large language model. And that's going to be distinct from something that you might think of as more of what I would think of as AI, like to train a multivariate regression model to look at this big data set and understand, where are the unexpected, correlations and things that I wasn't able to see in the data, and how can I input, some criteria into this patient population and have it spit out things that are meaningful to me. And that's very different than what people in the last year think of as AI, because they think of AI and they think of ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a form of large language model. So hopefully that's a little bit of the difference.
No, it's great. I mean, you mentioned ChatGPT and kind of the average person using something like that right now, right? Like even within our office, I think that's a depth of knowledge of what AI is. What resources would be helpful to just your average person, your average employee, that you would provide someone just to better understand AI? Because you mentioned it's just a surface level on ChatGPT to the depth of your knowledge. Like but for that normal person, maybe one of our audience members, like what resources would you say, hey, this is the best places to go to really understand AI, and just kind of the base knowledge?
Yes, thank you for the question. So I've got three answers. There's a great YouTube series called 3 Brown 1 Blue. I always get it's either 3 blue or brown. I'm pretty sure it's 3 brown 1 blue. 3 brown 1 blue, and it's a 4-part series, 20 minutes each, an hour and 20 minutes, and it just literally breaks down at the lowest levels how the math works. But the first 3 videos, you don't need to have any kind of advanced math. I mean, it's like for a layperson, if you have the interest and you're just sort of geeky enough to be interested and care about it, it's very accessible. And then the fourth of the 4 videos is, they kind of go into some of the calculus. But I would encourage listeners to dive into that, because it teaches you under the hood how stuff works. The most important thing that anyone listening can do is, if you're not using ChatGPT, like sign up for a ChatGPT account and start using it. Start using it, start understanding it. Just like when you meet someone and you start conversing with them, or maybe you meet someone in a new profession and you start to talk to them, you realize like how they talk. You meet someone from a new culture, and you understand their linguistic patterns and how they interact and how they talk just by hanging out with them and talking with them. By talking to ChatGPT, by spending time interacting with it, you're gonna develop this familiarity, and you're gonna be able to learn to detect when that one guy in the office is constantly sending emails that are written from ChatGPT because they all sound the same. Like, it's got this hard to put your finger on it, very discernible pattern in the way that it interacts with you. And once you figure that out, in the beginning, it's magic, but then you figure that out and you're like, oh, this thing is super predictable. I know when it's going to say what, I know when it's going to tell me it can't. I know how I can kind of make it do what I want it to. I can kind of outsmart it, and I can defeat the guardrails and like get what I want out of it. But you just got to spend time playing with it. There's no substitute for that. So that's the second thing. And man, I had a third, and it's escaped me. I'm sure it'll come back in a second.
You know what? No, that's okay, because actually you gave me this really good question, and this is one of the things I hear a lot from people in regard to AI is a real fear of AI. Okay, so we do a lot of work. One of the businesses we own is a condominium management business, And in that, you have a lot of retirees. Like we met with a retirement community yesterday, 55 and older. You know, not some people still don't have emails, but when they hear AI, and this isn't being flippant towards AI, like the truth of the matter is they see Skynet, right? Like, there's a serious fear to it. And so when you say it's kind of predictable and you can kind of get the patterns, the one thing that ran through my mind was Terminator 2, the dogs barking. You know that it's a Terminator because the dogs bark at the Terminator. So as long as you have a dog, it'll identify the Terminator. And, you know, even with, you know, AI and everything that it is, to those that fear AI, and there's a large population of people that do this, you know, they're afraid of what it's going to do, afraid of it getting too much power, hacking your bank accounts, all of these different things. How real is that threat? Is that a real kind of threat? Is that something that we should like really be cognizant of? Can machines learn at a pace where they can take over, or can we pull the plug? I don't know. I mean, I can even send myself down that rabbit hole of worry, to be perfectly honest. And I mean, what is your take on that as a leader in this industry?
Yeah, it's kind of flippant and dismissive, but I'll say for the people in, you know, north of 55, just they should be comfortable, because whether they're right or wrong, there's people in their 20s and 30s that have the same fears. It's a very normal, natural fear. Yeah, and if my dogs, you know, lose their minds and about halfway through the show, it's because my kids came home, not because of Terminator. But in all seriousness, I'm not worried about that, like categorically. And I've thought about this very, very deeply. I was extremely worried and troubled by this when I first started playing with ChatGPT over a year ago. I was like holy shoot. This is not cool. Like some kid in his mom's basement's gonna send a command to one of these things as a joke, and then Skynet's gonna start. But then as so there's a great book, by the way, called Journey of the Mind: How Thinking Emerged from Chaos by Ogi Ogas. That is a phenomenal study on theory of mind and how a brain makes a mind. And it's based on the work of a guy named Stephen Grossberg, who's still alive, and he's the father of this. He wrote differential equations about how the mind works. Really, really, really cool stuff. And if you dig really, really deeply into like what underpins the human mind and makes it special, it turns out there's tons and tons and tons of things. And I don't see AI coming anywhere near approaching it. Instead, it'll be a highly targeted, very, very capable thing with a very specific use case. And it will never have the ability to like think and feel or have the same kind of motivations or drives or goals that a human would, that a complex human would. And if we ever put a lot of effort into teaching these things how to, like, we try to encode like emotion and concepts of self-survival, like that's going to spell the end almost overnight. But as long as we don't put that kind of stuff in there, I think we'll be pretty good. And you've got really smart people that are worried about it. Elon's terrified about this. He co-founded OpenAI with the express purpose of not, making this not happen, and is now hyper motivated, through Tesla and X for similar reasons. I'm not worried about it at all. I'm more worried about, back to Elon, like bro, he just dropped the weights for a model just like a week or two ago. So he open sourced it. So now North Korea's got access to it. All the bad guys now have this capability. That's what I'm worried about. I'm not worried about the AI. I'm worried about the psychopaths with AI.
Look at that. Isn't that a whole new thing to be worried about as you go to sleep? I mean, no, but truthfully, that's a great point.
Real.
So
it's real.
I love that. And, Todd was kind of touching on it, I think, and it was like, how would an employee use it? How would that happen? I want to kind of take it in a similar but different path. And I think, one of the things that I'm going to use franchising because it's such a big marketplace. Pretty much everything you see is franchised, from McDonald's to Marriott to, Ground Guys or whatever it is. There's a lot of franchise. And an article that I read, it's dated itself now a couple years, but it said the average franchisee across all spectrums, made about $700,000 a year. If you took them all together and totaled it all up, and I got to imagine today it's pretty close to that. So, you got all of these entrepreneurs, all of these business owners, they own franchises, and I'm guessing in the outside of the franchise world, it's probably pretty similar. But they're making about $700K a year. In a lot of ways, after business and expenses, they're kind of just, paying for themselves to have a job. They get to call themselves a boss. They get some of those freedoms. They get some of the perks. But at the end of the day, they're working for their own company. How can that person, how can that business owner, how can that entrepreneur leverage AI to help take their business to the next level? And, fact be known, it's just an average of $700K. I'm not dogging on anybody or anything. I'm just saying, just in the research that I did, how can they use AI to help take their business to the next level?
That's a great question, and it actually it tees me up to give the third answer that I remember. I had one that slipped my mind.
Yep.
There's a presentation that I like to give that talks about the four personas in an AI team, and we kind of call them Mary the marketer, Paul the process guy, Stan the software engineer, and Alex the AI guy. And the Mary the marketer archetype that we show is really more like a tools person. It's like somebody that really understands the AI tools landscape. So you asked me, how do you learn? The question was, how do you learn AI? What's the third? So the third thing is, and this is for business owners, and this hits right to the heart of your question. So how do these business owners leverage and harness AI? And also, how do they learn AI? And the answer is so simple. It's who, not how. So you're going to go hire a marketing manager. We literally just went through this at another company. You're going to go hire any kind of person in any kind of role. You already know how to write the job description, how to go recruit, how to find, how to vet, how to interview. You know how to do all of those things. You only have to add one more tiny ingredient.
Okay.
They won't shut up about AI. So it's really simple. So if you go bring those people into your organization who are already good fits, and you can already delegate things to, and they can always help you scale and grow, but you're selecting for the ones, doesn't matter in their 50s or in their 20s. If they're the Luddites that don't want anything to do with it, like you don't want anything to do with them. If they're embracing this stuff, they won't shut up about it. They just want to use it. They want to use it. Then hire that person, give them a budget for tools, buy them 3 subscriptions to 3 tools that do the same thing. Let them play with them and tell you what the right one is. Let them bring that innovation into your company, and then let them teach you that stuff. It's both how to learn this stuff yourself, and the quickest and easiest wins is to get those people in your organization at all levels of the organization, and let them use it very, very tactically, and then be open to being surprised, to finding whole new ways to do things that are way more efficient.
That's awesome. That's cool. I like that. You're just harnessing into their natural curiosity.
And amongst that, I mean, obviously, just because you see the future of it, I mean, talking about earlier in the discussion of like, where is this going to be in 5 years, 10 years? And so preparing for that as a company with the people who are going to adopt it, and obviously bring that into the company to make it better. I think that's going to be key. Where do you see the future of AI, and what excites you the most right now, Ab, when it comes to, I mean, obviously it's your world, but I mean, we're speaking of the future, where you see this going, for business, what excites you the most?
Yeah, so I think I'm really excited about like embedded systems that are going to use AI. And credit to one of my employees who mentioned this at lunch, and I kind of dismissed it. And a couple months later, I started looking around like, this guy's right, like it's going to happen. The ability to take a model. So, and if you have any kind of product, like here's one right here. I had a customer gave me, this is a This is an IR thermometer. I can just shoot and take a temperature.
We love these. We use them all the time in the snow business.
He had a really awesome. He had a box of these. Just gave me one. So this is an embedded system. This is an example. I call this an embedded system. It's a little product with some digital electronics. It's got a sensor on the front end. It's got some smarts in the middle, and it's got a little readout. It's got a goes into and a goes outa, right? And some interface.
Mm-hmm.
Any embedded system that you're going to field in the hands of a consumer, or are you going to put it in a rugged application? You're going to leave it in an ag environment. You might put it in the top of a windmill. You might deploy it on a boat. These products, we see them, they're all over our lives. They could be a coffee maker, a toaster, a weapon system, an x-ray machine. These systems have very specific uses, and they gather lots of inputs from the world. To the extent that those inputs are vast and complex, just like the amount of information that you get by watching a video is different than what you get by looking at a picture, is different than what you get by reading a paragraph. Anytime you have an embedded system that's bringing in tons of data, especially from different sources and different types of sources, you're going to have an opportunity to create a custom AI model that's going to do a very specific job and do it well. You can train that model. You can then reduce it to something called an FPGA, a field programmable gate array, or you might make a custom ASIC, which is an application-specific integrated circuit. But you can sort of reduce these things you can make them for specific applications, reduce them in size, and then package them in smaller packages and deliver insane capability that in the past required very sophisticated signal processing and a lot of heavy-hitting cloud computing architecture. So what I'm excited about as the cost of inference goes down, which is the computing cost to perform the AI magic. Like, you call it inference. You give the AI system an input, it's gonna infer the output, and you're gonna get an answer. They call that inference. The cost of inference, the cost of compute, is going to go lower and lower and lower and lower, which will make it get smaller and smaller and smaller, so that you can encapsulate it in these embedded systems. And the smart cameras and smart sensors and smart things and doodads that are going to be deployed in the next 5, 10, 15 years are just going to blow your mind. And I'm really excited about that. It's the intersection of hardware and software.
That is awesome.
That is.
We are we're getting close to our time here, and I got one final question: is tell us about DeWeese Group.
Yeah, so that's just one day I realized I got a lot going on. I should probably round this up together and do some of my board work and consulting out from under it, and along the way launched a fractional CTO consulting service. So if anybody needs help getting their business off the ground or integrating some of this newfangled technology, it's one of my favorite things to do. And that's kind of what the DeWeese Group does. It might make investments, it might partner, might deploy capital, it might just take a more active or a less active role, kind of depending. But it's my playground, and it's what I love to do.
You know what? That's awesome. And I really love the fractional space, because one of the things that's really cool about that, as you're scaling or you're growing or you're startupping, you're in startup mode or you're in MVP mode or whatever, whatever phase of business you're in, you might not have the funds or the ability, to bring on a full-time, officer for the company. But if you can bring them on fractionally, you can get a huge benefit. It can help jumpstart you. It can help push you in the right direction. It can help you get moving in the right way, versus having to say, gosh, how am I going to swallow that entire salary of $300,000, $500,000, $200,000, whatever it might be for some of those C-level positions. And now you're able to get that same expertise. I absolutely love that. What are some of the best ROIs that your clients get from you today?
Yeah, so that's a tough question to answer, because I don't like to go into a lot of financial specifics of my customers, I could talk about some of the, maybe in broad strokes, like some of the things that we do. Would that be a decent answer?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, right on. So let me see. So we just got through helping somebody with a Kaizen event, which is something, it's a concept of lean manufacturing, where we go in and we just decompose a business process, look for quick wins and opportunities to grab things, either grab technology off the shelf or build it from scratch, integrate it together and solve a business problem. That was a lot of fun. We did it on Friday for a client. And there's well, let me not go too more deep, because that can be kind of vague, but I don't want to be super specific, just out of respect for some of my customers.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So there's opportunity there. If somebody is interested, they can reach out, they can learn more. You can have a consultation on what a fractional position might look like and how you can support them in that. Any final thoughts, Todd, before we get moving?
Well, we could go so many directions right now, just based on the conversations and the trending topic that AI is. Just some great takeaways overall that I think it's great to hear. And I think one of the biggest concerns right now for people is AI going to just take over my job? And so I think some of the biggest takeaways that I hear is the human element is still going to be so vital. And hopefully for listeners, it's a relief, but also just for business owners, how it can be embraced to help speed up automation, obviously, enhance their service and ultimately the customer experience. So those are some of the big takeaways today. So I appreciate the time, Ab.
Yeah, no worries. And just to give everybody some assurance and something to shoot for is, AI is not going to take your job, but by you embracing it, you can win market share and compete and win. And so I see it as this massive, massive opportunity for the ones that adopt it and embrace it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Ab, for the guests today, any final thoughts?
Yeah. So if you're not NEO, push hard and qualify and join. It's a game changer.
EO, and just so that anybody out there knows, the minimum qualification revenue wise is $1 million. Join your local chapter. Look it up. They're everywhere. EO is a game changer. It's a great network. A lot of people call it their tribe. It's a great place to be because you can share real wins, losses, failures, misses, stuff you can't share at home, you can share at EO. So it's a great place to really grow your business. That's a great plug for EO. Thank you so much for being on the show. Where can people connect with you at? Are you on LinkedIn, Facebook? Where are you hanging out socially?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. I spend most of my time on WhatsApp. But if you look me up, you can find me in the EO member directory. But I'm on LinkedIn. You can connect with me there, and I'd love to have a conversation.
Awesome. Listen, this has been an absolutely fantastic show. I know it's been terrific for our audience. I'm Dave Wescott, your host. We are live every Tuesday, 9:15 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you liked this, give us a like, give us a share, drop your comments in the comment box, and follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, anywhere where it's social, I'm hanging out. Thank you very much for joining the show. It's been absolutely wonderful having Ab on the show today. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Mike Bott from Frost Solutions, one of the owners of the company. What we do is provide a mini weather station to give you a tailored forecast to those particular locations, so you know where and when and what to do in those parts of town. There's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different ways that people can experience tremendous value having a technology like this.
Introducing the all-new Western Enforcer V-Plow. Engineered with all the features, efficiency, and performance of full-size Western V-Plows, built specifically for your half-ton truck. For more information, visit westernplows.com.